This Saturday night, Indianapolis, Indiana, home of the Indianapolis 500. That's kind of a segue into why WWE picked maybe this city and this theme. WWE Fastlane, premium live event / pay-per-view, coming to you from the Fieldhouse, home of the Indiana Pacers, this Saturday night. And I said it about Payback, probably the least anticipated pay-per-view of the year was Payback. And I'm going to double down and say this is probably the least anticipated pay-per-view of the year. The good news is I don't think anything going forward is going to be as essentially lackluster. Survivor Series, Crown Jewel, Royal Rumble. I mean, we're going to start getting into some heavy hitters, stadium shows, those kinds of things. Not to say anything horribly negative about this card, but just saying in comparison of, Money in the Bank London, tickets going for $1,000 for a nosebleed seat, this show isn't it, right? Right now, we only have 5 matches, and some of those matches were made just this week. So quickly, I just want to get your overall thoughts in the sense of your excitement level for Fastlane. Should we be more excited about this pay-per-view than we are?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm not mind-blowingly exciting. If I had to put on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna say 6 because 5 is kind of level. For me, 5. I always look at the scale. 1, nah. 5, okay, yeah, I'm down. I'm going 6 because I am looking at this card. I am excited to see John Cena and LA Knight, versus the Bloodline. I think that'll be good. And then the Judgment Day versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. I think that's another match. I mean, all 5 matches. I feel like I'm going to be interested in because you're also getting Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits together versus the LWO. This match, the card itself is not bad. But you're right, compared to the other stuff like the money, Money in the Bank, the big pay-per-views. Yeah, it's probably lackluster compared to that. But just for your every run-of-the-mill, monthly pay-per-view, it's a pretty good card. I'm actually okay with it.
I'm very curious if they're going to keep it at 5 matches because none of these matches, to me, Royal Rumble is normally a 5-match card, and the reason is because 2 of those matches last 1 hour long each, right? None of these matches, I think, other than maybe the Shinsuke Rollins match, I see going 30 minutes plus, right? Yeah. Every other match is a typical pay-per-view length match. I will say this is a lesser anticipated pay-per-view than Payback for one reason or a few reasons probably, and some of those reasons are one, I feel like the Payback card going into 2 days prior to it, was a full card. I'm sitting here wondering, are we going to get more matches? I think we had 6 or 7 matches for Payback, and I wasn't assured that we'd get any more. I thought, boom, that's enough. I think we got all the matches we need, right? I think it was 6 matches plus the Grayson Waller John Cena segment, or Cody Rhodes segment, I apologize. So I think that was a full card, but here with 5 matches, I feel like we're going to get another one because that's a low number for a 3-hour pay-per-view. And essentially with none of these matches being an Iron Man match or anything like that, I feel like this is a low number. So I feel like they're going to give us something else. And if they give us something else, it's not anything else that I can think of off the top of my head that's for sure going to happen. Becky versus Trish was going to for sure happen at some point somewhere because that feud was happening. Whatever they throw out here isn't anything that if they don't throw out here, people will wondering, well, where was it? Right. And so it's one of those kind of added matches. Right. So that if it is the added match isn't anything great. Right. And one of the matches that they have, as I think is an added match that not saying anything too negative about it, but it's probably one of the most or least anticipated pay-per-view matches of this year going over all the cards. I can't think of a pay-per-view match that I said, I don't care if that's on the card. I would go to the bathroom just because of the feud that it goes along with it, and that's LWO versus Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. Listen, Bobby Lashley's a big name. Street Profits are a good tag team. Rey Mysterio, those are good things going on there. I guess it's just a 6-man tag team match. That seems like a middle of a SmackDown for me. Bobby Lashley and Rey Mysterio haven't been feuding like they're gonna collide at WrestleMania or anything like that.
But here's my argument to that. My argument to that is Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits have not officially worked a match together under their new little partnership here. If I'm not,
and I think that makes this lesser. Then that's what I'm saying. If they had been working matches, if this was a Judgment Day kind of group, I could kind of see it more. But the fact that it is a thrown together kind of thing, and the fact that it's a 6-man tag, if it was a thrown together kind of thing with the winner goes to the main event of WrestleMania, then you got my interest. But it's a thrown together kind of thing.
But it's nothing on the line. It's the debut of this trio that, to me, I call it Hurt Business 2.0, which we haven't gotten any name for it yet. I'm curious because I want to see how this works together, and I'm also wondering, okay, with the LWO, who's gonna wrestle besides Rey Mysterio? Is it and Santos Escobar? Is it gonna be Wilde or Del Toro? Like, I'm curious about that as well. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, sure, you could probably make it a main event on a SmackDown. Sure, I get that. But this is, yeah, if for a throw in match, kind of last minute, I don't mind it. I feel like we're going to see some good spots, especially with Rey Mysterio and Bobby Lashley involved.
I think this pay-per-view is kind of similar to what we're expecting with NXT this past week or this upcoming week, and that's some big names and some cool spots in the sense of just seeing them interact, right? Cody Rhodes on NXT, Asuka versus Roxanna Perez, right? You're getting those things on NXT that are kind of new to the eyeballs. So John Cena and LA Knight teaming together versus the Bloodline. Sure, nothing's on the line. It's just a cool kind of celebrity-like tag team match, something like you're used to getting like the pay-per-view before WrestleMania. Before Rock and Cena face each other, they team up, right? So that's kind of what you're getting here with Cena and LA Knight, right? And I could potentially see Cena and LA Knight maybe against each other down the line. And that's kind of the same as what we're getting with the Judgment Day versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, right? Kind of this thrown together tag team of got to put Cody Rhodes on the card. He's your face of your Monday Night Raw, essentially, right? Jey Uso's new to Raw. How are these guys going to team up together? So that's interesting. The Judgment Day putting their titles on the line. I think they're going to defend them, right? Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. I don't foresee them winning these belts. I could be wrong. But I think it's more just like interest, right? Io Sky versus Asuka versus Charlotte Flair. That's an interesting match, right? We don't have a Bianca Belair in this one. It's the match that a lot of people have always wanted to see, Io versus Asuka, but then you're throwing in Charlotte Flair to make it a triple threat. I think Io versus Asuka might actually would probably be a little bit better in the sense of uniqueness.
Well, let me just go back to that Judgment Day Cody Rhodes Uso situation. If that would be a cool swerve if they actually give Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso the belts. That would be interesting because that would tell me that there's issues with the Judgment Day. Because under normal circumstances, I would say Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso are not winning this match. But if they pull it out, they win the titles. That tells me that Finn Balor and Damian Priest and the whole Judgment Day faction might be having some problems, and that could create some really good storylines going into the end of the year.
I will say if Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso win the belts, a potential, obviously we're talking Cody Rhodes and his tie back in with the Bloodline. Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso then defending those belts against Jimmy and Solo at the Bloodline at a future pay-per-view could be pretty interesting as well. Obviously, at the Bloodline facing Cena and LA Knight this weekend. But the main event, a rematch from Payback. They had the regular match at Payback. Now they're having the last man standing match. Shinsuke versus Seth Rollins. I thought Shinsuke was probably going to win the belt at Payback. I'm taking Shinsuke again here. I think just because, again, the idea of this belt is to be a little more turmoil, have a little more turmoil with it, have a little more turnover with it. So far, Seth Rollins has been holding this belt like he's Roman Reigns, right? And Shinsuke Nakamura, people like him could use the belt to really elevate their character so that he's not just hardcore Holly back in 2002 facing Brock Lesnar at some, middle of the line pay-per-views just to give him some work, right? To really elevate this guy into a main eventer, which Seth Rollins already is. I think giving Shinsuke the belt would be big. They never did back in the day against AJ Styles, if you remember, right? After he won the Royal Rumble. So this could be a good opportunity to shake things up. You want to shake things up? This could be an opportunity to shake things up. Do you think my prediction will be correct, or is Seth Rollins just winning this one as well and moving along?
I'm actually going to jump in on the Shinsuke Nakamura train, just like you. I was thinking that when we were looking at the card. I'm like, yeah, I feel like it's time for Shin to get the belt. And you know what? Like, I feel like Shin needs the belt more than Seth. Like, I think Rollins doesn't really need the belt to be over. He's already over as it is. I feel like Shinsuke has earned the right to be the World Heavyweight Champion. I feel like he needs a run. And I feel like this would be the perfect time to do it because then he can hold the belt for a little bit and then maybe drop it at WrestleMania at a future date or something. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking long-term booking. I feel like Shinsuke is going to win this match.
I think if Shinsuke wins it, I don't know if he'll have it till WrestleMania, but yeah, I just think sometimes people need to have the belts. And the thing about Shinsuke, remember, he won the Royal Rumble. He was pretty hot. People thought of him as a main eventer, and then they let him cool down, just like they let people like Finn Balor cool down when they came back from injury after winning the Universal title. So you have a chance to bring him right back up in a different way. And I don't know if they're going to do it or not, but I think it would be a good idea if they did.